Have you ever wondered why the price of things just seems to keep going up? Welcome to the mystery of rising prices, a phenomenon we know as inflation. But what is inflation exactly? Imagine a balloon. As you fill it with air, it expands, getting larger and larger. Similarly, inflation is a persistent increase in the general price level of goods and services in an economy over time. Just as the balloon gets bigger with each puff of air, the prices of things we buy, from a loaf of bread to a new car, tend to rise over time. But unlike a balloon, prices don't inflate because of air. They inflate because of various factors that we'll dive into later. So the next time the price of your favorite chocolate bar goes up, remember the balloon. Inflation, like the air in the balloon, can cause prices to rise, but why does this happen? Understanding inflation is like piecing together a puzzle. It's not caused by a single thing, but a combination of factors. So let's dive into the main culprits behind inflation: demand pull and cost push inflation. Picture this: it's the holiday season, and there's a particularly popular toy everyone wants. The manufacturer can't keep up with the demand, and pretty soon, the toy is nowhere to be found. So what happens next? The price of the toy skyrockets. This is demand pull inflation in action. When demand for goods or services exceeds supply, prices go up, and voila, we've got inflation. But demand pull isn't the only culprit. Enter cost push inflation. Let's stick with our toy example. Imagine the cost of plastic used to make the toy suddenly increases. Or maybe the workers who make the toy ask for higher wages. The manufacturer is left with no choice but to increase the price of the toy to cover these added costs. What we're seeing here is cost push inflation. When the costs of production go up, companies often pass these costs on to the consumer in the form of higher prices. And then there's a third factor which we should talk about: built-in inflation. This is when people expect prices to rise, so workers ask for higher wages, and businesses raise prices in anticipation. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy. But the story doesn't end there. Remember, inflation is like a puzzle, and there are many pieces. Other factors can come into play, like government policy, global events, or changes in the economy. To wrap it up, inflation isn't caused by a single factor. It's a complex interplay of demand pull and cost push inflation, expectations of future inflation, and various external factors. It's a puzzle, and each piece plays a crucial role. Just like the puzzle pieces coming together, all these factors play a part in causing inflation. Inflation isn't always the bad guy it's made out to be. Sometimes it can actually be good for the economy. Let's delve into this a bit more. Imagine you're in a store and you see a sign that says prices rising soon. Chances are you're going to want to buy what you need now rather than later, right? This is the same principle that applies to a moderate level of inflation. It encourages spending and investment. If people expect prices to rise in the future, they're more likely to spend their money now. This spending stimulates economic growth, as businesses respond to increased demand by hiring more workers and investing in new equipment. So in the right doses, inflation can be like a shot of adrenaline, providing a short-term boost to the economy. But, like any good thing, too much of it can be detrimental. Now picture this. You go shopping with a set amount of money. One day you can fill your cart to the brim. A few days later, with the same amount of money, your cart is half full. Then a week later, you can barely afford a few items. This is the harsh reality of high inflation. It erodes the purchasing power of your money. High inflation can make people feel poorer as the cost of goods and services outpaces income growth. It can also create uncertainty, making businesses less likely to invest and hire. In the worst cases, it can lead to hyperinflation, where prices increase at an extremely rapid rate, causing significant economic instability. Inflation is like a coin with two faces. On one side, it stimulates spending and investment when kept in check. On the other side, it can decrease purchasing power and create economic uncertainty when it spirals out of control. So inflation can be a friend or a foe, depending on how it's managed. As we move into the next scene, we'll discuss how governments and central banks play a crucial role in managing inflation, ensuring it's more of a helpful companion than a destructive force. Inflation is like a spice in a dish. Too little or too much, and it doesn't taste right. Just as we've uncovered today, inflation is a natural part of a healthy economy. much like how a pinch of salt enhances the flavor of our favorite meals. It stimulates economic growth, encouraging spending and investment. However, similar to how an overseasoned dish can ruin your appetite, excessive inflation can create economic instability. It's a delicate balancing act. A dash of inflation is necessary, but a deluge can trigger problems like decreased purchasing power, where your money doesn't stretch as far as it used to. It's crucial to remember that inflation isn't inherently bad, just as spices aren't inherently bad. They both add flavor and complexity. It's the quantity that matters. Next time you notice the price of your favorite snack going up, you'll know that inflation might be the culprit. But remember, just like a little spice, a little inflation can be a good thing.